Hi, everyone. Our first featured poet is Ariel Cottingham. Houston-born Latinx performance artist, dancer, and pushcart-nominated poet, Ariel is an internationally touring whirlwind. With a degree in theater and an Australian Poetry Slam championship under their belt, they merge elements of dance and physical theater with written poetry to create multidisciplinary short works. They have toured through the US, Australia, and Southeast Asia. Their work has been published in Booth, Pressure Gauge Press, and elsewhere, and their first collection, Black and Ropey, was published by Pitt Street Poetry. They are currently craving falafel in Berlin. Please welcome Ariel Cottingham.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's a little after 9 p.m. in Berlin, so it's really cool to be able to be part of this wonderful poetry reading series. Yeah, I'll just get started. I am a dancer. My blood is laced with C4 and fireworks, and music is like fire that touches it off. The resulting explosions rip my body down pathways paved with sweat and drums and rhythm, and dancing is an elemental, fundamental, strangely mental thing for me. Blood is the conduit between the body and the brain, and dancing with my body affects the dancing of my brain, a delicate dance that meanders through phases of sanity and its opposite twin. My ancestors left me many parts of myself, but this dance has run a blue streak through my family, not as visible as curls or freckles. It was never visible on my wrists because blood moves so explosively to music is far too precious to spill, especially when it can dance my brain back to sanity on 2, 3, 4, 8 occasions. Amy Winehouse saved my life. The irony that a dead woman whose own brand of insanity killed her gave me life is not lost on me. On those nights, I sneaked in deserted studios and let my body detonate to Valerie, and back to black I learned that music could fight that blue streak as well as any therapy, and suddenly it made sense. While my father used to play guitar every night, while my white grandmother was obsessed with dancing cha-cha, while her father-in-law was so good at clarinet, he was a guest soloist for the Benny Goodman Orchestra. Music has always been the fire in our blood. It's been our coping mechanisms. It makes sense now why I am a dancer. My blood is made of C4 and fireworks, and music is the fire that Prometheus himself gave us just in time. So dip shoulder to swing chest, cyclone waist into hips, let momentum lift toe, whiplash knee back around to twist tornado of ancient souls, back up spine, roll neck like it aches to crack, roll eyes back to the glittering light. This is what holy feels like. I'll bend and lift and smooth. And what do the gods of music know of our bodies when we can pray like this? Praise be to the body rolls that grow wings out of souls. Praise be to the knees that pop hips up into celestial being. Praise be to the balls of the feet that grant us hang time amongst the clouds we breathe. Praise be to the ancestors' immortal souls, for they are the gods not of music, but of rhythm, granting us the gift of music to make mortality seem mere illusion. So come, let us pray. An ode to merengue, the dance and native style, music style native to the Dominican Republic, where my family is from. Shuffle sharp that dance, that slave shackle turned joy, that cintura tan suave, that long lost child of Ottawa and Fanglongo, that West African drum with colonized tongue. Watch this body walk upon water that swallowed its cousins, and wish it couldn't clap my name from your mouth like slave ships didn't give me these hips or this hair that strangers keep shoving their white fingers into like a throat. Like I'm tame enough for petting zoo since half my body was carved from a white man. How long it take you to clock me as blacker or whiter than you? This body, este cuerpo, spins shipwrecks cuando bailo este merengue tan rico, pero too many black men have wished on these freckles like shooting stars. Ayo ma, you mixed? And too many white men have called this hair pillow and this booty ghetto for me to know where my skin wasn't commodity, wasn't fetish, only merengue. That dance, that slave shackle turned joy, that cintura tan suave, that long-lost child of Arawak and Pangogo, that West African drum with colonized tongue, only that feels safe enough to call home. Thank you. That's my first set.
Thank you, Ariel.
Our next poet, Miranda Ramirez, is a writer and artist residing in Houston, Texas. You may find her publications in Ripples in Space, science fiction short stories for fall 2018, Glass Mountain, Shards, The Bayou Review, Coffin Bell, and forthcoming Puro Chicano or Chicanx Writers of the 21st Century, a collaborative project between Cutthroat, a journal of the arts, and Black Earth Institute. Her visual works have been published in Glass Mountain and exhibited at Williams Tower Poetry, or Williams Tower Gallery, Tea and Art Gallery, and Insomnia Gallery. She is also a founding member and co-editor-in-chief for Defunct Magazine. Please welcome Miranda Ramirez.
Thank you so much. It's a huge honor to be a part of this reading, especially with such amazing other poets with us. That's so awesome. Thank you. I will try to be timely. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm a little nervous with these Zoom readings. It's not the same. This poem is called Muscle Car. Sad daddy, oh, oil guzzling, uproarious, childish leather, hot on my skin, filling chrome plated trim with a rattling cough, keys twinkling at each turn, memories of her in gray, choking, sputtering, growling, flickers from lights on the dash, salivating for speed. Windows down, wind whipping over hot pistons, roars escaping to annoy the neighbors in a way you never would. Vomiting noxious green, black clouds mingling with blue summer skies, rasping dollars preferred to the gaggle of gossip and giggles, blue-collared gospel. Barely audible Zeppelin on that radio, conversations made pointless, flummoxed, fortunate fool, caught an internal rain, a small, vicious animal that eats mustangs. Cacophonous, thought drowning, too flashy for that open container. That's the first one. This next poem is called 7:30 to Denver, and it's hard for me to see. Desire is a deadly train. It is methodical, menacing, malicious, always arriving too late, always departing too soon, the call of it inescapable. The body glimmers in all light, alluring to the eye and hard to the touch. You invite it. You deny it. Steel wheels roll on, centrifugal force. It will cut through everything, precise, powerful, pernicious. No care for life in its disruption, no care for death in its constancy. It's following the track that you laid. Run. This is the last one of my first set. It's called A Being Divided. A poet I admire once said, "Truth is as pathological as lying. A found fact, undeniable, sound. The being in the cage that is whole yet divided clings to truth as if words could shield, as if a cry, if honest, could burn. More than a morose bellow, echoing, hollow, a female lobo raised in captivity can only howl. Her canines have been pulled, chains secured. The captors are confused as she growls in her isolation, denied all knowledge of pack mentality. When we are split, we become whole, wholly othered by phenotype, embrace the cage, or starve alone. With choices like these, How can you ask? Are you a hound? Are you a wolf? Thank you. That's me.
Thank you. Our next poet is Brian Beard. Brian's poems, short stories, and essays have appeared in Bellevue Literary Review, The New Guard, Poetry East, The Prose Poem Project, Twididity, Red Rock Review, Sentence, Sixfold, Translation Review, and elsewhere. A frequent reader at the First Friday Poetry Reading Series open mic, he serves on Writers in the Schools Education Committee, leads service learning trips to Latin America, and teaches a seminar on the good life to high school seniors. Please welcome Brian Beard.
Hey everybody. Thank you to Public Poetry and Houston Public Library. It's an honor to share this virtual stage with Ariel and Miranda and everyone that's going to be part of the open mic. Thanks to everyone for spending part of your Saturday with us. This first poem is called Socrates in the Time of Starbucks. They'd saunter into the agora, brandishing tall, flat whites and distributing business cards. Casting their PowerPoints upon a column, they'd swap strategic insights, covering their unbearable woundedness with the semi-militaristic, understated humble bragging of elite golfers. At first they pitied him, this loser in a rumpled toga who knew nothing and had the stupidity to proclaim it. Then they hated him. If there was one thing they could not stand, it was the failure to be a team player. What should be done to the man who is careless about what the many care about? He asked at his trial with an equanimity that still haunts me. He knew that his kind of victory required a kind of failure, and he wanted to be victorious. In this respect, at least, he was like any of us. This next poem starts at a Fiesta Mart and ends at the bottom of Buffalo Bayou. The abandoned grocery cart. I accompanied our visitors through the brightly colored aisles and provided them the means to gather their portion of this country's great bounty. Wonder Bread, Cocoa Puffs, Little Debbie. Unlike some of my less fortunate brothers and sisters, I never swerved or squeaked or clicked. And then the day before Thanksgiving, shortly after 9 p.m., I was abducted and abandoned beside a bus stop by a woman and her 4 children. Sometime after midnight, the wind began to blow, and I slid down a grassy incline into Buffalo Bayou and landed basket up. I never thought that something like this would happen to me. Or if it did, I figured I'd be dead anyway, so it wouldn't matter. I know now, however, that I will never die. I will never die because I was never alive. Dear underwater shopper, take from my basket this ridiculous story, the story of my life. I offer it to you freely, asking nothing in exchange, for you have already paid enough. This poem is my attempt to show empathy for a man whose tragic woundedness comes out sideways and wounds those he might otherwise serve. Its title is an homage to a song by one of my heroes, Fred Rogers, and also includes an appearance by Fred Rogers' character Daniel Tiger. What do you do with the mad that you feel? 3 a.m., the Lincoln bedroom. You stand before a mirror, hearing voices. You hear your father call you fat. You hear your first wife say the only thing she ever saw you read were the speeches of Adolf Hitler. You hear single mothers you have evicted curse your name. Is it too late to make a change? To cut down on soda and fried foods? To take up yoga? Your daughter has given up on trying to convince you to go to therapy. Because what good would it be to pay so-called doctors to make you admit you are a jerk? Being a jerk is the secret of your success. You have nothing to apologize for. Where's the voice of the lover your fixer arranged, whispering in your ear? Or your pastor friend who said, you are one of the most compassionate people he has ever been around. You call for your wife in her bedroom, but she mumbles something not nice and not in English. You put your phone on speaker, call the concierge, demand a bucket of fried chicken. You sound mad, the voice of Daniel Tiger replies on the other line. I'm mad sometimes too. An unbearable pain in your chest as if you were buried under a pile of rubble. You drop the phone on the floor. Sometimes when I feel mad, Daniel continues, I breathe in and out to calm myself. Do you want to try that with me? You kick the phone, make it slide under the door. In the white paint, the handprint of the slave who painted it waves at you. You stagger, throw your hand up to meet that hand, steady yourself. Please don't stop breathing, Daniel's voice says from beyond the door. We all feel down sometimes, but you matter, Donnie. You matter to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Please welcome back our featured poets, starting off with Ariel Cottingham.
Hello, everyone. I've been here. It's getting close to 10 p.m. and I hadn't eaten dinner, so I just turned my video off so that y'all wouldn't be have to deal with watching me eat. I've got a couple of little smaller poems left. This first one, apologies, is not memorized. But the rest are. The moon listens more than God. There is something familiar and deeply exquisite in the way my island brown crescendos against your mainland brown and this communion of flesh more God than divine image. And this is not to say that the personal is always political, or however the saying goes, but there is a certain relish in tangling fingers through curls that crave aceite de coco as much as my own. And is not a prayer like this a most defiant of Independence Days? Is there not a kind of gleeful beauty in ringing in Carnaval de Febrero with un grito de dolores? Is there not a certain reclaiming of long colonized soil when our bodies ripen upon it? This harvest may never reach past the next sunrise on the skyline, and we may return to richly platonic admiration of each other's art and general humanness. But let us revel in shared histories of waters crossed, be they big river or gaping gulf. In our shared lengua, Europeans left stained across our ancestors' throats. In a child of Cacique Anacaona and a child of Montezuma Xocoyotzin meeting countless lifetimes after conquistadores thought they had beaten us down, only for one seditious night. All right, last two poems. Thank y'all so much for having me. Public poetry is awesome. This open mic has been really cool. Let me be a sea witch, hair twisting into brain coral or medusic anemone. Let me be Medusa, feared and frightful. Let me be frightful. Let me give pause. Let me inspire what tsunamis inspire. Let me crest taller than cities. Let me be a city. Roads twisting into brain coral or a bird's nest. Let me be a bird's nest. The top of a mountain, and let me be a mountain, posing itself into vision. Let me be a vision. Premonitory and ghostly, let me be a ghost. Fingers in your memory, let me be a memory of simpler times. Let me be time itself, waiting for no man. Let me wait for no man. Let me only pause for the good parts. And let me be the good parts. Let me be that song you never hear on the radio, or the sweet parts of a prickly pear, or the thing that makes you smile when you're driving alone in your car, or a breeze in summer. Let me be summer. Let me be longed for in the dead of winter. Let me be the one that got away, or let me stay. Let me crawl into a Topo Chico bottle while I'm driving. Let me drive to the ocean. Let the ocean part my hair. Let the brain coral call my head home. Let me be a sea witch. History is an ocean. And hurricanes are what happen when history decides to repeat itself. The hurricanes rise up out of the ocean, travel thousands of miles, picking up pieces of everywhere they've been and dumping them with hell and high water wherever they make landfall. And even in this extended metaphor, I am human. Woman who refuses to use her womb as fodder for any number of revolutions that really should have been won by now. But history and its hurricanes have a way of washing away wayward women with ambition on our lips instead of babies on our hips. And I'm gonna nail the damn doors open when the hurricanes come. Let the wind slam every door in the house until the tantrum ends, and I will still be here, clinging to this microphone by the teeth, hoping to say something memorable eventually. And why are you so angry all the time, Ariel? How do you fit that much outrage into that tiny woman body? I'll tell you, history is an ocean, and I've been drinking a lot of seawater lately out of books that taste like drowning, and this microphone is a life raft for women whose empty wombs will get us washed away if we aren't careful. But take our pens, we will shout our poetry into every hurricane history hurls at us, for we have always shaped history the way the moon shapes the tides, no matter how invisible it seemed. So we don't have to be invisible anymore. So when the next storm comes, nail your doors open, bite down on your microphone, let history flood your lungs and unleash hurricanes of your own. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bravo. Next, I'd like to welcome back, let me get that straight, Miranda Ramirez.
Thank you, Leila. This poem's called Running Flat Circles. It's a pandemic poem, but it's an obtuse pandemic poem. Been reading Nietzsche again, lurking in the gloom after my family begins to drone. Their sleeping forms lay like lumps of coal fitted into dimly lit tinder boxes. Everyone here sleeps with a light on. Some little bright speck to annoy me. I never sleep, not when I should. I need the darkness, but I keeping the lights on even when I'm alone, crouching in my closet. He who has a will to live can bear almost any. Days, hours, seconds, all concept of time has run thin, dissipated, the lines blur, merging together, repeating in these hollow hours. I lurk, searching for that abyss, but it is never here. I find that I only ever find within myself a strange comfort in these small hours, something peering back, praying for it, keeping it fed, reading to it in the dim, willing it to give birth to a dancing star. Okay, this next one is called Texas Loop 336. My Texas Loop 336 was once a home, somewhat. Now all thoughts of that place are contained in the image of an inescapable well, dripping, consuming, filled with lower middle class detritus. Its hauntingly thick evergreens fall by the dozens, hundreds. Still more come, you'll see. Bolstering the supports of that bottomless pit, there's only asphalt and box stores where the old Boy Scout camp used to be. You remember the one. We smoked pot in that fort shaped like a pirate ship. It's funny how even though it's gone, some of us never left, mired, seated willfully in a boat, forever anchored in a tepid pond. Okay, this is my last one. It's called Motherhood in South Houston. "What are you?" asked that flirtatious fellow at the counter. Customer service and job security are weighing on her mind. Then, thinking of her Irish-German mother, she shrugs and smiles. "No, really, what are you? Filipino or something? You just look so exotic." "She's just Mexican," says the coworker from Ireland. "She was only trying to help." He takes his change and walks away. No tip. "Cuánto cuesta?" asks the alabaster-skinned Argentine regular, falling habitually into her native tongue, her blonde-haired daughter tumbling about her ankles. Confused, the coworker turns away without responding. "You speak Spanish, right?" The non-Filipino woman smiles at her customer knowingly and says, "The cookies are $3.75. The woman drives home. It is late. She reeks of coffee and mop water. At this hour, it will take only 20 minutes, even in her outdated truck. There's no one on the roads. As she goes, she witnesses the ebb of the taxpayers' dollars. She passes 2 elementary schools 6 blocks apart, knowing there are worlds between them. Gated communities give way to rundown apartments. A police car pulls up beside her at the light. He trails her until she passes the second school. His cruiser turns. Both feel relieved that she is gone. In the morning, she takes her son to the park, not the one walking distance from her home, not the one with the broken swing and the near collapsing slide, not the one her husband played on when it was new. No, she takes him to that beautiful one, the one with the manicured lawns and the covered parking, reading quietly while he plays with the other children. "You know, I'm sure his family isn't paying you to just read," says the middle-aged suburbanite to her left. Looking up, not to the presumptive woman, but to her son, catching her dark eyes, he runs to her. "Mama, te amo." Bright hazel encircles black pupils. They beam amidst his pale, flushed pink complexion. In her arms, she's thankful. They're together, thankful they are here. He's not alone in a cage. Thank you.
Bravo. Thank you. One more time, please welcome back Brian Beard.
Thank you. This is a poem that takes place in Herman Park. Continues a shout out to the 20th century French poet, playwright, short story writer, novelist, and art critic, Guillaume Apollinaire. Cockroach of the city. The Uber is circling, isn't it? Someone is dyspeptic on the light rail system, aren't they? A picnic in the park. Who forgot the life preservers? Who is rich, though poor? Poor, though rich? The wind licks the film from the vertical desert of the medical center. Creatures resembling us jump off those buildings sometimes on purpose. I can't unlock my phone. Who forgot the sugar? A journalist I half know sits by the man-made lake playing a gut-string guitar, singing in Esperanto. Something about the adventure just beginning? Something about God, about God's goodness? Can't tell if it's a question. The strings are out of tune. I can hear it now. It's getting dark. From a window in the sky, a woman is calling for her baby. This is a poem about turtles. But of course, it's about more than turtles. The war on turtles. They had long been considered un-American, so resistance to the policy of total eradication was weak and quickly quashed. They were easy to kill. A 3-year-old could do it, and often did, until they became nearly impossible to find. Sometime after they were declared extinct, I was walking through the park along a low wooden bridge over the pond when I came across 5 of them, of various sizes, sunning themselves upon a log. Perhaps they were sculptures placed by a subversive artist, or more likely, knowing our tendency to commemorate that which we have destroyed, commissioned by the government. But then one turned her head and stared directly at me. Hearing someone coming up the path, with my boot, I jostled their log, sending them sliding into the water. I checked my email, played it cool. No one came, however. It must have been squirrels or the wind. I'm going to end with a poem called Quarantine. It's about a man who's working in his apartment during the time of the coronavirus when he gets a visit from an exotic green bird whose feathers grow before his eyes to monstrous proportions and devour him whole. It may sound like a nightmare vision, but ultimately I see it as a vision of hope, freedom, and rebirth. I don't mean quarantine as in diminishment of life. I mean quarantine as in its root word, which means 40 days, as in 40 days in the wilderness, on the way to one's true, authentic life. Quarantine. Squares on the parquet floor, crisscross lines, stymied in the particular, but in the ensemble, more than decorative, an energy force at play. A container for the human body sitting on the floor, leaning against the couch while the mind indexes a book on shamanism in Amazonia, a way to pay the bills during these strange times, these unusual times, these most unprecedented times. For clothing, striped boxers and a t-shirt with a dad joke on it, though the children it might have made grown left months ago, left with the wife for her country, where the death rates are demonstrably less catastrophic. The couch he found in happier times in the as-is section at IKEA, its defect a linear incision, superficial, purely cosmetic, spanning the length of both seat cushions. Reason enough, said the wife, we could never have anyone over. Yet it made you feel accompanied. Look up toward the kitchen every half hour, coordinate your blinking with a leaky faucet. A bird beside the sink, blood-red chest, underside an elegant miniature bathtub. Most of all the feathers, a profusion of green, more green in the form of a bird than a green bird. A siren outside winding its way up and down the barber pole of panic, bachata music, laughter of women through their masks, the elevator creaking up. No, down. A black eye, motionless, dinosaurian, taking you in, reading you, a shifting of weight from one scaly leg to the other, the first steps of a dance, green wings opening, growing along the wall, fast and slow, like ivy growing in a time-lapse video. What a strange death to be devoured by a room of feathers. Stand up, crouch as the feathers grow over your head, stumble, get turned around in the green darkness, burying you. Throw yourself on the couch like an escape raft. Your body rises in the air. Reach up, try to wiggle a hand through the weave of feathers. Fail. Spinning, the feathery ceiling becoming the feathery floor. Crawl towards the center of a room with no center. The room angles, sends you sliding backwards. Grab 2 fistfuls of feathers. Hold them like knobs. Hold tight as the floor gives way, leaving the rest of you dangling. Fall. Open your eyes to a more spacious darkness, gradually lightening, greening a world, ours. A marble in space, tainted to despair, yet green. Spread your arms. They are wings. The air a thing to fall through, the wind to lift you up. Thank you.